Welcome to Living Well with MS. This show comes to you from Overcoming MS, the world's leading multiple sclerosis healthy lifestyle charity, which helps people live a full and healthy life through the Overcoming MS program. We interview a range of experts and people with multiple sclerosis. Please remember, all opinions expressed are their own. Receive monthly tips and ideas about living well with MS by signing up for our newsletter at overcomingms.org/newsletter. And now, let's meet our guest.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Living Well with MS podcast. Joining me on this edition are Nikoma and Simone Bell. Nikoma and Simone are a married couple living with MS, and it's Nikoma who has had an MS diagnosis, and they are the authors of Marriage and MS, Embracing Life and Love Beyond the Diagnosis. We'll obviously add all the information to that in the show notes, so have a look at that. But to start off with, for both of you, could you introduce yourselves and your relationship to multiple sclerosis?
So, if I'll go first, I'm Nikoma. I'm the one that's diagnosed with. I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting MS in 2018. I'm a touring sound engineer. Well, I used to tour. I don't tour anymore because of the MS. It's affected so much of my life, from my optic neuritis down through to everything else. I was diagnosed in 2018 and I haven't really toured since.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Simone, Nikoma's wife. I'm a coach. I actually coach caregivers, helping them to find a sense of purpose again, and also work with organisations, helping them to support the carers that they have in their workplaces. And I'm also a trainee counsellor, which is, I want to go into private practice, just really taking the support that I give already, taking that to the next level through counselling and therapy.
So I mentioned that you're the authors of Marriage and MS, Embracing Life and Love Beyond the Diagnosis. So could you tell us a bit about the book that you've written? And if you could, give us your best relationship tip for people with MS and for their partners.
Yeah, the book, really, we wanted to share our story, really. When it was diagnosed with MS, we really couldn't find a lot around how it affects the whole family, affects partnerships, marriages, etc. And so we started sharing on social media, really through our Instagram page, Marriage and MS, and it really grew from there. And we decided, we could. Everything we're sharing really should put this in one place, so that people have got like a resource that they can find. So we started writing. In the book, we write about everything from relationship advice, intimacy, parenting, finances, our faith. It's a really a one-stop shop for everything, sort of how MS affects relationships. Something good that we did is at the end of each chapter is like a reflection piece. So what it means is that there are questions there that couples can work together on, and so that they can apply it to their life and reflect on what they've just read and how they can apply it. And with regard to a relationship tip, I would say is remembering that you are in a relationship. Like, MS isn't the totality of you. And so make sure you still prioritize your relationship and find time for each other.
And a tip that I would have is just communication. That's the number one thing, because if you're going through something as an MS sufferer, then if you don't communicate that effectively, then the other person, how are they going to ever know? So it's like you have to communicate that, number one, and also then just communicate collectively. You and your partner.
That's a really good tip. I think as a married person, it's you got to tell your partner whether it's an MS. Is it just that I've been lazy because maybe I have, or was it an MS thing that I'm not doing? So I really can't clean the kitchen because I'm absolutely shattered today with MS, or is it because I just don't feel like, and you need to say, don't you? Otherwise, how do they know that
Yeah, how do they know?
Yeah, definitely. It stops frustration. It stops, miscommunication
Yeah.
that leads to arguments, and that's on the flip side as well. For as a wife, spouse, carer, whoever, a partner, we also have to communicate how we feel, and and maybe we're having down days, etc. And it's just talking to each other is really important.
And so, question for Nikoma. So, men are in the minority when it comes to an MS diagnosis. So we both lucked out there, and particularly black men are particularly in a minority. So you're really in an unusual situation. So there's a thing I believe called the Brotherhood Support Network. So what is that, and what should healthcare providers and the MS community know about the experience of black men with MS?
Well, I guess the Brother Support Hub I set up because when it comes to there's a lot of cultural issues that need to be addressed, and I feel that sometimes healthcare providers don't necessarily see exactly what is needed to be conveyed in their messaging, and it's not conveyed with the correct cultural influences. So that's why I felt that collectively, everyone in the Brother Support Hub, we can speak on a more of a cultural basis, and just be more comfortable. Yeah.
Like a safe space, really.
Yeah, safe space.
Yeah. And with regard to, like you were saying there, I mean, I know I'm jumping in here, nothing to do with the hub. However, for me, I think it's really important because it's like I said, a safe space. With regard to black men, especially being underrepresented within healthcare, missed out of, basic things like literature. You rarely see men, but you rarely see black men.
Yeah.
And so it can lead to feelings of isolation, feelings of, am I the only one going through this? Which I know was a big thing for you when you were diagnosed. So actually, it's just a support for other black men to know, actually, I'm not the only one going through this.
Yeah, I think you're the first black man I've spoken to.
Oh, wow.
Pretty sure. I mean, yeah. Because, I've spoken to black women, but I don't think so. So for Simone, you're a life coach, as you mentioned. So you've got a professional side to this as well. And you work with women who have caring duties for family members. So what are common issues among care partners, particularly those who have a loved one with MS? And what would be some tips for dealing with those?
Well, that isolation comes up a lot, feeling like you're the only one, because when you're, caring for someone with MS, loving someone with MS, you center that person for obvious reasons. They're the one with the condition, you center them, but you can be left feeling, feelings of guilt, feelings of resentment, all of these things, but you've got nowhere to share it. And so you can kind of end up feeling guilty for feeling guilty for feeling resentful, and then having no one to talk about. So you end up thinking, oh, I'm the only one that feels like this and I'm really bad and all of these things. And so it leads to these feelings of isolation. Find somebody who is on that journey. Find somebody. That's why I do this. So I've got the coaching experience. I'm a qualified coach, but I've also got that lived experience. And I think that's so important. And I know a lot of clients that that's the thing that encourage them to come to me, because you understand what I'm talking about. We're not all the same, but there's definitely things we can relate to and the way we feel and things. So just find somebody who kind of knows what you're talking about and share. It's just so important to talk, because holding everything in can affect you physically, mentally, emotionally, all of these things. And so it's important to share and take breaks. I always say, I do a lot of talks and workshops, and one of the things that I always talk about is sustainable self-care. In recent years, self-care has become a bit of a buzzword, but it is vital for caregivers and those with caring responsibilities to take that break. And that self-care looks different for everybody. For some people, it might only be 5 minutes, but take that 5 minutes and take that care so that you can just breathe, that you've got time to pause.
And so for both of you, you're also parents as well, I understand. So
Yeah.
how does MS fit into that part of your life? And also, how do you talk to your child about living with a chronic illness and address their worries or comparisons to other families?
Well, I guess we include Eva Grace, our daughter. She's 6, so we include her in as much as we can. She knows very much that I get fatigued very easily and I can't do certain things. And Mummy does like 95% of the driving. So we just address topics with age appropriate sort of authority that we
age appropriate ways, definitely
in age appropriate ways.
And also it's important to so Nikoma was diagnosed in 2018, so the year she was born. So when he got his diagnosis, I was pregnant at the time, and so she's kind of, that's all she's kind of known. Daddy getting tired sometimes, etc. And as she's growing, she's kind of become aware of the word MS. Or I should say the letters. She doesn't necessarily know what it is, but age appropriate. But it's important for her to still be a child. So when times when Nick has a bit more energy, we'll go out and do things as a family. So she really understands. And yes, that there are times where Daddy can't do things, but also Daddy does a lot with me as well. Like, you teach her to play the piano. There's so many different things. So she still gets to be a child.
Yeah. And for Simone, how do you maintain emotional intimacy? So among all the conversations about symptoms and doctor's appointments and that side of things, how do you take the carer hat off and become a wife again?
Well, the communication is a big thing, but we don't, like I said, don't always center MS. Like, that's not all we are. MS isn't our whole life. And so we're really intentional about having dates and doing things together, going to concerts, going to different, we do things that remind us that we're a couple first, that MS, it's taken so much from us. We don't want it to take everything. So just prioritizing us is the way we manage it, and that is the way I encourage people.
And for both of you, so one of the biggest fears for people with a chronic illness is that their condition becomes too much for a relationship. So it's putting an unnecessary burden on it. So what would you say to someone who feels like MS or another chronic illness makes them unlovable?
Well, I would say that you're never too much, and everybody deserves love. There's so much beauty in when you have found the correct person for you, and you can complement each other so much. Sometimes when one person's feeling down or fatigued or whatever, the other person can help to lift their spirits, and it's just so it's so beautiful, and it's so sustaining. So you should never feel that you're too much for love.
No, you're right. Everybody deserves love. And, the right person, the correct person for you will love all of you.
Yes.
Because we've all, and this is not to belittle MS, but we've all got flaws, we've all got things, we've all got, things that we come with and that make us all, and MS, that's a part of your story, but it's not all of you. And so the right person will love all of you.
So to carry on about relationships, you talk a lot online about the 75% statistic, though. So there's a high rate of relationship breakdown when people have chronic illness. So could you just tell us, why do you think so many people struggle in relationships? And is there any tips or things that would help a relationship survive and thrive for someone who has MS, or for a couple with someone with MS?
Yeah, that is a horrifying statistic, that 75% of relationships impacted by chronic illness, don't survive. But I would always say, the reasons, there are so many reasons. However, I think strain and the stress and all that MS or chronic illness brings to a relationship So that we've spoken about the resentment, the guilt, and if you're not sharing how you feel, it grows, it festers, and then little things become big things, and it impacts a relationship. So if you're feeling like a burden, I'm feeling burdened. If you're feeling resentful, I'm feeling resentment. But we're not sharing, we're not talking, so we're not working through it. I think that festers and can really impact a relationship.
Yeah, it kind of it can grow in the background and then just become, snowball, and then it becomes a really big situation, which it shouldn't have been situation. Then it can bring in other things like resentment and so on and so forth.
So the importance of talk, that we keep saying about that communication,
key.
is vital. I mean, and there are other reasons. For some people, they maybe don't think they can they can't support someone who has an illness, and maybe the person with a condition may think, I don't want you to see me like this. There's so many reasons, but to overcome that, I think it's prioritizing your relationship, keep speaking to each other, and remember why you fell in love in the first place. I think that's vital.
And I also think that there's so much help out there, so many different helplines and charities that are helping. So reach out to people if you're under stress and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, and that's why we started. I mean, connect with us. That's why we started sharing our story. Well, really, we started sharing just to share our story. It was almost cathartic for us. But what happened by virtue of that is people then started reaching out to us and support us, and that led to, like I said, our workshops, the book, etc. Because there are so many people that need that support, and as a couple, and felt like they didn't know where to turn. So reach out to people, get support. It's really important.
So, a question for Nikoma. So fatigue and the invisible symptoms of MS are a big part of it, which when you have MS, but other people can't see that. And you'll probably get this. A lot of people just say, "Oh, you look so well." And it's like, yeah, actually, I'm having a really bad day. But you can't see that because, you just look to have a look. So how can that, that obviously impacts daily life. That other people can't see it, they don't understand it. How do you navigate that personally, and how do you communicate your needs to Simone or to others?
Well, I guess I try and plan as much as I can beforehand. So I go swimming like on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I kind of know that after swimming, I go in the morning, it kind of wipes me out for most of the day. So I try not to do too many things on the days I go swimming. And just try and plan things as much as I can, and then say to Simone that on this day may need some extra help because of X, Y, Z, and then just try and communicate my needs as much as possible. I think,
And sometimes you don't know, do you? Because you could try that, and then actually I'm fine. My wife goes, "You said you were going to be terrible, and you were fine." I was like, "Yep." And then next week I'm not, and then I don't know, because you just don't know, do you?
Yeah, it's an unknown. Sometimes, today I went swimming. I haven't been swimming for the past couple of weeks because I've been just overdoing it. So I say to plan, but sometimes things override those plans. But I think it's key to try to recognize beforehand if you're going to do something that is going to affect you fatigue wise. I mean, as you know, sometimes it's just out of your control, but when you can, try and do that, try and plan it.
But if it is outside of your control as well, is being comfortable sharing with those, especially those that you love, who you hope will understand that actually, sorry, I know I made this plan, but I can't do that now, or just because just one of those things. And I know you mentioned that, oh, you look well, and I know that's one of your big bugbears. People said, oh, you look really well.
Yeah, I get it from doctors.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
So finally, you've mentioned your book, you mentioned you've got online resources. So where can people get in touch with you and find out more about your work?
Please do connect with us on Instagram at Marriage and MS. We're on there, and TikTok now, very new to TikTok. And we're both individually on LinkedIn as well. So Nikoma Bell, I'm Coach Simone Bell on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with us. We really do like hearing from people and just supporting in any way that we can. And our book is available on Amazon as well.
Okay. And with that, thank you very much for joining us. We'll put all the links and information in the show notes so you can connect that way. Thank you very much for joining us, Nikoma and Simone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Living Well with MS. Please check out this episode's show notes at overcomingms.org/podcast. You'll find useful links and bonus information there. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And please rate and review the show to help others find us. This show is made possible by the Overcoming MS community. Our theme music is by Claire and Mab Dean. Our host is Jeff Alex. Our videos are edited by Lorna Greenwood. And I'm the producer, Regina Beach. Have questions or ideas to share? Email us at podcast@overcomingms.org. We'd love to hear from you. The Living Well with MS podcast is for private, non-commercial use and exists to educate and inspire our community of listeners. We do not offer medical advice. For medical advice, please contact your doctor or other licensed healthcare professional.